Jungle Boy Jack Perry, AEW. Apparently, now this is all off the top of my head, excuse me. Late June, early July, some Canada tapings. He insisted because he had a holiday vacation booked shortly afterwards, and he needed a reason to get written off television for a week or two. And he wanted to go through real glass. He wanted to be attacked by somebody, his head goes through some real glass instead of sugar glass, fake glass, anything like that. What's the mentality of people? Why do you come across this a lot in your career, where people just insist on hurting themselves, even though it makes no difference to the fans watching?
Yeah, more so recently than used to be. And this is like it's going to sound like a criticism. It's just a comment. I could go into any local bar and pay some guy $1,000. Hey, go throw yourself off the roof, or go lay in front of a car or something. And that drunk fool would walk out and do it. And I hand him $1,000. There's no talent in that. The talent of our business is exhibiting something to the audience to get them to believe something that's not really happening. It's sort of a magic trick, cutting the lady in half. And that takes years to perfect. I just recently, it's funny to bring this up because just 2 days ago, Jerry Lynn had sent me a video of some kid setting himself on fire, jumping off and doing a splash through a table, which I think didn't break. And they have people at ringside with fire extinguishers. Well, this thing starts to go up a lot faster than they expected, obviously. And the kid panics, as anybody would, being set on fire. And he's on fire the video's like 45 seconds long, and he's on fire the whole time. That poor young man has life-altering injuries from that. You are forbidden. As somebody who had spent decades in a ring performing fight scenes, my brother was a big set designer in Hollywood. We could talk about that some other time. He was really prodigious in the industry. He passed away a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. God, it flies by. Anyway, he created the pit in the Silence of the Lambs, the baseball bat with the lightning bolt on the natural, things like that. Yeah. Really cool little sidebar to the franchises, or big sidebar to my career. But I said to him decades ago, I could do fight scenes and things, certain things like that. Get me in here. You have to be certified. You have to be licensed. You have to be in the union. I mean, there's all for good reason. They get a stunt man on set. That stunt man can do falls from buildings, fire, car crashes, do it all, and fight scenes. So if in Hollywood you have to be that heavily certified, I'm sure for liability reasons and everything else. In our sport, that's sort of just hanging out there, like as the redheaded stepchild of all the industries. It's not really it's not really acting. It's not really entertainment. It's not really sport. It's something that coincides all of those together. And then you see a young man do this. Now, here's what they missed in basic physics. If my T-shirt is made of cotton and I put a flammable right here, as I'm wrestling and sweating, my sweat is going to start to diffuse that wicket through the rest of the T-shirt, and that's what looks like happened here. When he rolls out of the ring and they've got the safety people there, a couple of people with fire extinguishers and towels and blankets, I'm sure, are wet. The problem is by this time the flames have really started going. He's panicking and he's not paying attention to where the fire. And when the first fire extinguisher hits him, fire extinguishers eliminate the oxygen in the air to kill the fire. So he can't breathe. I'm sure he's just instinct turning away to try to find air. And this thing goes up and does a horrific, without even knowing from the video, but you can tell just by watching it, this kid has gotten serious first-degree burns. And when I see that should never happen, ever in this business. It happens because we're not regulated by this industry, by that industry. We're someplace in between all those. And so, again, it can happen, even though it shouldn't happen. Common sense would dictate otherwise. And I feel so bad for the young man, but also, who talked you into this? Was this your idea? And did you ever bring any of these other simple basic physics questions into? Clearly not. And when I say the glass, seeing guys in these death matches thrown into head first into garbage cans full of light bulbs. Those light bulbs, first of all, those tubes have xenon gas in them. Xenon gas is poisonous. That glass real glass doesn't break exactly like you think it's going to break. So if it breaks in the wrong place, could slice your jugular, could cut one of your artery, you bleed out before you'd even get to the hospital. It shouldn't happen in our industry. People putting their bodies on the line like that for whatever reason. their satisfaction that the fans are reacting to it, or
Well,
holding them on a
yeah.
pedestal.
Is it adrenaline rush, or is it trying to prove
Yeah,
their toughness to other people,
both.
or
Yeah,
both?
yeah, both. Yeah, I think all of the above. It's they're getting reaction from the fans. A lot longer and harder road to learn the craft, and go into it that way. And today, because they've seen it for so long, the fans are wanting more and more and more.
Mhm.
And I'm shocked that nobody died in ECW with how far we pushed the envelope there. Thankfully, they didn't. Sooner or later, this is gonna, like, this young man has life altering. He will suffer from this the rest of his life. Burns are not something anybody wants to really deal with, especially over a big portion of the body, the torso. So shouldn't have happened, and yet it did. The same thing with back in the day, the Rockers, when the kid was hurt before they did the double fist drop. You can see he's hurt just by the way his body is flopping. But in that, I'm not giving a free pass. I'm just explaining. When you see that, you clearly know the match should immediately be stopped. Today, we have the signs from the referees and stuff that can go. But even there, I saw in AEW, when one of the kids was knocked out in an 8-man tag, a doctor sitting less than 6 feet away, watching, eyes right on it. The Young Bucks come off and double bodies, splash this guy that's clearly knocked out. Could have had a neck injury, could have had a disc injury, could have had a nerve injury, but he's unconscious. That's incredibly serious. And the doctor didn't catch it, the referee didn't catch it, and the wrestlers didn't seem to care. And at one point, one of the wrestlers grabs him by a hand and sort of just drags his limp body over into a corner. If he had broken his neck, you just paralyzed him from the neck down for the rest of his life, or killed him. It's what we do, and I tell kids this all the time. For every kid listening out there, if you have a younger brother, sister, nephew, niece, please tell them what we do. We are exorbitantly trained for. What we do can be very, very dangerous, but because we're so well trained, in spite of the danger, we're able to get through it. There's all the stories. There was about 7, 8, 9 years ago, there was a young man, 14 years old, that beat a neighbor girl of his to death, thinking he's doing what he saw on TV. Every year we hear backyard wrestlers and younger kids that try to do what they see on TV, and it breaks my heart because we are pulling a fast one on the audience. We're tricking the audience to believe something. And these young people that don't have the capacity to understand that can lead to serious injury and death. And it shouldn't happen in our business.